Well, I want to show you my fall garden. As you've seen in the previous clips before this, you seen where I was planting everything. So now you guys, you can plant, you know, green beans. I planted cabbage, I planted broccoli, I planted cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, and I even planted more zucchini. And the other thing is I got lima beans coming on. So I even planted a potato to show you that you can still plant potatoes. And what I'm about ready to harvest here, probably in about 3 weeks, my vegetables again. In July, I did plant my zucchini the first week in July. So right here I have 4 zucchini plants. And what I'm going to do with these zucchinis, because these are big zucchinis, these zucchinis have been coming out about this size here. Now when I cut these open, they are just starting to form seeds inside. So I have some big plants and I'm getting some big zucchini. Now these zucchinis here, all of these, I make dog food. So I will can these zucchini, and then when I make my dog food, that's what I will use those for. Then over here, so right here I have a bunch of, oh my gosh, cabbage all the way down through here. And then in between the cabbages, I use the space here, and these are green beans. So I'll be growing another batch of green beans with all the cabbage here. Then here I have a whole row of green beans that I planted again. Now, down here is a potato plant. So I don't need any more potatoes. I got plenty that I've already harvested, but I did plant this potato plant. Again, this probably was at the in July, at the end of July. And this is what I have. So I just wanted to show you that you can still plant potatoes in the middle of summer to start a potato harvest. Then back here, on this line back here, is all my lima beans. So I'm going to assume in about 2 weeks these things will be ready. I got 4 Brussels sprouts plants that I did plant these in the beginning of summer. I am 5'3", so you can see how tall these are. And I'm getting some pretty nice Brussels sprouts on them. Now I have kept the leaves trimmed throughout the summer. If not, it's just a mass of leaves. And this way it could get aired out, so no, it helps with the mold and stuff like that on there. So, and the powdery dew. So I'm going to show you down here where I planted my Brussels sprouts and my broccoli. Now I'm starting to get broccoli on these. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are all broccoli plants right here. And of course, you know, broccoli, they will go, you know, they can take a light frost, not too hard. If it's going to be a heavy frost, then I'll cover it for that night. And the good thing about having a fall garden, you don't have to deal with all the bugs and stuff. Now, in the beginning, I had to do my little mixture of my neem oil and tea tree oil spray that I use on my garden, but I haven't had to do anything in the last couple weeks here. So the bugs have been not bothering my plants. Some more Brussels sprouts here. Now, I'm letting this one go to seed, so I'll have seeds next year. And I'll be honest, I have no clue what these 2 are. They were supposed to have been broccoli, but they don't look like it. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe they're cauliflower. And then down here I have more of the broccoli, and back here. Just give you a quick view here. Of my garden. Another good thing about having a fall garden, you don't have to mess with the weeds as bad. But I still, as I mow my lawn, you can see I still put grass clippings down in the garden. So I still collect my grass clippings and I still put them down in, and when the leaves start falling, and then I'll come in and I will put leaves down in the garden here on top of that. My leaves will get real thick. I will do a video on how I prepare my garden for fall. And basically, I will just till a little section about this wide wherever I'm going to plant my beans or whatever, just the top till. and that's all I do. And then I load the rest of it down with a lot of grass clippings and a lot of leaves. And that I'm really still getting kale in the garden. I do have my rain barrel, and I usually I have a sump pump that I will pump the water out of the pond and put it in the barrels. That way if I need to, then I can water this. Alright, let me show you, I'll take you over to where my carrots are growing. My carrots now, I have a video on showed how I built this bed, and then I have a video on how and what I filled this bed with. The soil in carrots is a lot different than you would use for soil for like green beans. You don't need that much nitrogen for carrots. And then when you get too much nitrogen, then when you pull the carrot out, you call them little hairs. I call them hair stringy. I don't know what they're called, but anyways, I planted these here in July. I believe the end of July, beginning of July. So, but this is my carrot bed, and these can take some little bit of a frost again. If I have a heavy frost, or I know it's going to frost, that's what these loops are for. And so that way I can put a tarp over top of this and protect it from the frost. But, and you can see how rich and dark green these are. The garden bed is made for my height, for me, and then I also have another video on how I prepared the soil for the carrots, and then I have a video on how I planted my carrots. I didn't have anything else to plant in them. I had all my onions in them, so I decided that since we can do a fall garden, why not plant more green beans here, and back here I do have more carrots back there. The only reason why I planted the green beans is because my daughter-in-law said that she would love to have some fresh green beans, so I planted these for her to have. So these, the ones I showed you in the garden earlier, I will can. These here we will pick for fresh eating. Then the green bean, or the carrots, so I put the carrots back in here, so that way we can use the soil space. So if I would have planted the green beans in here, it would have been hard for me to reach. So now, like I told you, carrots do not like a lot of nitrogen, so I don't know how these are going to turn out. So I guess it'd be a good experiment, show you the difference between putting carrots in with a lot of nitrogen versus hardly any nitrogen. And this here again for the loop is also to string the beans to crawl up, and then if I have a hard frost, whatever, I can cover this with the tarp to protect it. There's a nice bee right there. The good thing about the fall here, planting in the fall, is you still got a lot of bees, and it seems like the bees are coming out and eating everything they can, I guess, to get ready for the winter. So that's the only problem, is you have a little more, it seems like a little more bees. I know this has nothing to do with the fall gardening, but we have hooks here, and that way everything is easy access to have. So use what you can. In here, if you notice, these flowers are really close to my garden beds, and so that way it encourages bees, and not only that, it's beautiful. I had cucumbers, and after I harvest them, then I went back, conditioned the soil up again with some old compost, chicken manure. And these here are my iceberg lettuce. Now I can't eat this much lettuce, so what I'll do, I'll also feed them to the chickens. You have the growing space, use it. Just keep growing, Use the soil, especially if you have chickens and stuff like that, feed them. I'm kind of doing a little bit of experiment. Again, you know, I had pickles in it, so I'm going to use the soil and do some experiment. How late can I plant? Now these are canning pumpkins that we can use, that growing. I've never grown them before, so I planted those in here. And the good thing also is I don't have to fight with a lot of that mold and mold, that powdery mildew that gets on these. And it seems like now to keep the boars from going down in and eating in the center of your plants and killing your plants, that's where I mix my tea tree oil and my neem oil together that I have for my solution for my bugs. Then I'll take 50% of that solution and add water to it, and I will feed it into the ground, and then that will take care of any boars or anything that digs into your, into your main root system and kills your plants. So this is an experiment, so we'll see how that's going to work out. Now I just got done harvesting all my corn, and I did leave 3 corn stalks, so I have, actually I have 10 of the corn that I left on there, and I'll let it stand and let it dry, and that's what I use for my seeds for next year to plant. Now what I'm going to do with these corn stalks here, once they're dried, all the green and they're dried, I will cut them down, and then I have a wood chipper, and I'll run them through the wood chipper, and that way, be real fine and shredded. You guys, if you have chickens, put them in your chicken coop as, for the floors in your chicken coops. So chip them up however how you can, throw them in the chipper, grind them up. The chickens would love it. And after I shred these up, then I'll still throw some wood shavings on the chicken coop floor and just mix it all in together. So use everything you can, recycle everything you can. Once my garden's all done and I get everything pulled out of the garden, then I'll come back and I will layer this stuff in the garden. So instead of making a compost pile, I guess I don't really do a compost pile, but instead of doing a compost or doing it that way, I will take all my beddings from the chicken coop from all summer, all summer long, all the manure and stuff like that, which is like right here, and I will take it and I will layer all this stuff through the garden. And then after I layer it, that's when I'll come in all my fall leaves, and I will put fall leaves this thick in my garden. You guys, there's hardly any weeds that come up through the garden. You're not going to be 100% weed free, but when spring comes, all I have to do is pull maybe a few little weeds here and there. And then the other thing, like I told you, I do what they call a top till, only on the areas that I need, that I'm going to plant in that garden. Again, don't throw your sunflowers out. What we're going to do, we're going to cut the heads of these sunflowers off, and then I'm going to put them in the chicken coop, so that way they can feast on these sunflowers, the seeds. All the stalk that you have, that you see here, I will let this thoroughly dry, just like the corn. And then I will run it through the wood chipper, and then I will use it for bedding in my chicken coop. Use everything you can. There's other things than just your garden that you need to prepare, for fall. I have 40 more chickens coming next week, and so I had to prepare this is my broiler house, and inside, I have heat and lights, so I'm doing a test. I did a test over the night to make sure everything is in working. So I will have my broilers here. I found out that it's easier to grow broilers about this time of the year. The heat is not so hot on them, and they're not so stressed out. So I'm looking forward to seeing the babies come. Whoop! Who made some noise here? Okay, I'm going to have to finish up this. It's getting ready. It's starting to rain. So, guys, thanks a lot, and take care.